to Spoonie Style. I'm Melanie, your Spoonie Style guide. For many of you, this is your very first episode with me. Perhaps someone in your life asked you to watch this episode because there are some topics being discussed today that they would like you to know more about. For others of you, you're with me for the past 3 weeks, and I'd like to say thank you for coming back. This is a very special episode because I asked my fellow Spoonies to either email me, text me, or tweet me things that they would like to tell the people in their lives, whether it's their significant others, their children, their parents, their coworkers, or their friends. Things that we often want to say to you, but we don't want to hurt your feelings. See, as a Spoonie, so often we enter into a conversation and we get our feelings hurt by some thoughtless things that people say to us. So I'm going to be that guy today, and I'm going to tell you how we feel and what we're thinking. Let me tell you a little bit about myself. I am 38. I am a mother of 4. I have a 17-year-old, soon to be 16-year-old, a 14-year-old, and a 12-year-old. I will be married 19 years very soon. I was a teacher up until October. This past 2 years, I taught 2 sections of art and also several sections of Spanish. I grew up in the performing arts. I danced. I also did a lot of visual arts. I really enjoy things like drawing and knitting, building things, anything that has to do with use of the body. I did ballet dance, and I also was in musical theater right through my 4th pregnancy. And after my 4th pregnancy, I still continued to perform in musical theater. I coached cheerleading and dance for many years, and only until recently has my health started to decline to the point to where I am unable to teach or perform or coach. When I coached, I was able to demonstrate triple jumps for my girls in cheerleading. Within the past 2 years, I am no longer able to do that because of my joint pain and my joints just not cooperating with me. I wasn't actually diagnosed with anything until I went off to college. My first diagnosis came from the Student Health Center, and they told me I had migraines. So I'm going to ask you all to bear with me because I am going to be reading notes. I am unable to memorize the information, so you won't get the amount of eye contact that you've gotten from me up to this point while I go through some things that I want to share with you. The person that you love, their story may not be the same as my story, but the results are the same. I keep trending hashtag we're all in this together because no matter what the circumstances, we're all in this together. Some things that are very important to us. Number one is to believe us. When we tell you we can't do something, when we tell you we're in pain, when we tell you we're tired, believe us. That's the strongest thing you can do because every day people challenge us. They question us about the names of our diagnoses, about the validity of our diagnoses, about the effects of our diagnoses. Maybe we're exaggerating, maybe we're being drama kings and queens. We're not. Furthermore, trust us when I say to you that we feel so much worse than we communicate to you. When you see us up and out and about, we wouldn't live if we reacted the way that some people react when they just have a cold. Husbands, I want to talk to you for a second, and I'm going to be a little easier on you than I could when I say that I love sex. I love sex, but I need you to understand that it hurts to be touched sometimes. Um, with my disorders that I have, my skin constantly feels like it's tingling. So when you touch us, sometimes, and you want to be affectionate, the last thing we can bear is to have someone touch us. And it's sad. And it affects you too, I'm sure. But it is what it is. Also, um, a lot of people with chronic illnesses have always been the go to guy. We've always been the one to take care of everything. There may be data to correlate being a type A personality and getting a chronic illness. I don't know. I know that a lot of people in our lives are used to us doing everything. And all I can say is tag you're it. It's your turn to pick up the slack and get busy because I just can't do it anymore. I can't speak for everyone, but I'll tell you how I feel. I would love to turn back time to a simpler time where I didn't have to go off to work and I could just take care of things that need to be taken care of at home. Um, but at the same time, I can't even take care of everything at home anymore. I just can't. And I wish that I could, but it's just not within my ability. I'm not in a wheelchair. Um, I don't have any limbs amputated at this point, but I need you to understand that I'm not able to use the body that I have. We ask everyone in our lives to please read up on our conditions and really educate yourselves. Um, Try to imagine what your life would be like if you dealt with some of the things that we deal with on a daily basis. Like I said, so many people are debilitated after a cold or flu. I try to explain to people at work, imagine you had the flu every day of your life and you knew that it was never going away. That's what it's like. Little harsh moment here, but it has to be said. Everyone has an opinion, and you've heard the one about opinions, right? Well, you're not a doctor, so I'm sorry, but your opinion doesn't matter. Um, Try to look and get whatever information you can take in. And when I say look up information, I'm not saying look at those doctors who say crazy things like if everybody could lose weight or maybe if people meditated more. And don't listen to those armchair professionals that are totally based on their opinions or their gut feelings and they really don't know what they're talking about. Um, don't read research on a condition or some type of philosophy that actually has nothing to do with our particular condition. I was actually in a support group the other day, and people were trying to use research that they had read about conditions other than the one that the support group was actually for, and that infuriated me. You can't compare apples and oranges. I also personally have a beef with people who want to blame gluten for every illness and also people who think that marijuana can solve every illness. So please keep your opinions and your research to yourself. Research is to educate yourself, not to turn around and offer all the suggestions to other people. The best thing you can do is to ask questions. One of the people that I respect most in my life is a teacher that I used to work with years ago that I still talk to. And she asks me questions about my illnesses all the time because she wants to better understand. And I respect her so much more as a person because I can tell by the types of questions she asks me that she's truly interested in understanding me and that she's listening and she's really taking in that information. One thing that I appreciate about her is something that I'm going to ask you all to do for the people in your lives. She knew me before I was terribly ill, and she knows that I'm a doer, and she knows that I'm a fighter, and she doesn't try to blame my illness on me just being lazy or just wanting to, get away with not doing anything. She doesn't treat me like it's something that I can just snap out of because she knows me and she knows that if I could, I would. After you do your research or after you listen to us and we tell you something like, oh, I have photophobia or I have dizziness, know that you're only getting the cliff notes. Okay? You can't go, oh, I do things sometimes when I'm dizzy, or just slap on a pair of sunglasses. There are so many intricacies in the human body that one symptom or one disorder actually causes a domino effect on the body. So, unless you experience what we're talking about firsthand, you will never understand. Don't tell us that you think that our doctors are giving us bad advice. In my personal case, I see a general practitioner, an OBGYN, a neurologist, a rheumatologist, a psychologist, a ear, nose, and throat doctor, an allergenist, a pulmonary specialist, and they don't all agree with each other. They give me conflicting advice all the time. So I want you to just take a moment to empathize and think about how frustrated you would be if you had to see that many doctors, and how frustrated you would be if those doctors couldn't get their story straight to help you get better. And then if your friend or your family member said something stupid like that doctor doesn't know what they're talking about, or you insist on giving advice and us listening to you when you have no medical degree at all. It's frustrating. It's enraging. Stop. One of my friends asked me to talk about something that is a pet peeve of mine too, because I have asthma and allergies and also migraines. People with your fragrances. If I tell you that a particular fragrance bothers me, don't tell me that I wear cologne or perfume too. I do. I wear cologne and perfume. But every single fragrance that I bring into my house, I have to sample and make sure that I can tolerate it. And frankly, even fragrances in my own home that I may be able to tolerate on Monday, I might not be able to tolerate them on Tuesday. So if I tell you something like your perfume or your cologne or your laundry soap is bothering me, I'm not trying to be confrontational. I'm not trying to be rude. Please don't be rude back and say things like, well, I've used this one for years and you never complained. Or you wear perfume too. Okay? I need you to understand it is a medical problem. There are millions of people out there who can get headaches, migraines, their throats can close up. They can start having coughing or sneezing spasms or any other number of symptoms from fragrances. Furthermore, recently been diagnosed with dermographia. I've known for years that I had some kind of skin allergy problem, but a lot of people with skin allergies, they can brush up against someone or the particles from someone's chemicals that they use in their homes or on their bodies can actually get on a person's skin and cause someone to break out in hives. My last bout with dermographia was when I got an allergy test 2 weeks ago, and I had hives and welts for over a week, and even a week after having a steroid injection. It's serious business, people. Don't minimize it. Our allergies that we suffer as a chronic ill person are completely different than you sneezing or having fever a few months out of the year. Also, if we're coughing or sneezing and we tell you it's allergies, believe us, it's allergies. We don't get some sick thrill by passing around communicative diseases to people. So don't be insulting and treat us like we're the walking plague when we tell you it's our allergies. Another thing that irks chronically ill patients about doctors is doctors throw around the word depressed like it is the solution and the end all be all, and even worse, like it's the cause of our problems. I need everyone in the world to understand that people with chronic illnesses may act bummed out and sad, and that's perfectly normal given the life circumstances that we have. Let us have those moments of self-pity where we have a funk or depression and maybe we feel sorry for ourselves for several days. We're going to need that every once in a while. We're going to have times when we say terrible things about ourselves and about our lives and about our life choices that we may not really mean. But we don't need you to challenge us at that point because we are genuinely mourning the death of the person that we used to be. And mourning is a cyclical process. And as sure as someone might break down in tears years after a loved one has died, we will have moments where we break down in tears and we'll relapse into pain. And it's perfectly normal given the fact that we run around from doctor to doctor and we're frustrated because no one is able to help us. Make no mistake, we are not making ourselves sick because we're depressed. We are frustrated because no one can help us with our chronic illnesses. One of the saddest parts of being chronically ill is that it's one of the few things that we can't depend on medicine to fix. One of the most frustrating things that I have read and heard is that people with chronic illnesses expect too much from medicine. That is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my life. If we can serendipitously come up with a cure for erectile dysfunction, why can't someone with lupus or fibromyalgia or multiple sclerosis expect that some scientist somewhere can be looking for some kind of eyelash extender and Bob's your uncle figure out a cure to multiple sclerosis? That is not so ridiculous. We are told stupid things to help cure our illness, like if only we would exercise. I want to take a moment and just get on my soapbox in case you haven't thought I was on my soapbox before. This exercise thing is the biggest joke ever. It's based on research that says that exercise gives us more endorphins, and endorphins make us feel better. So they take that false logic and they make a connection between exercise makes you feel better. You have something that doesn't feel good, exercise and you'll feel better. They claim that they've done this research on chronic patients, but I want to know who those chronic patients are. I told you a little bit of my story. I used to be a dancer. I moved my body all the time, okay? And two of the coaches that I've worked with just in the past 5 years can attest to the fact that even though I was the person who got down on the floor and did all of the activities with the girls, so my activity level was up high, at a higher level than most people, and I still declined. By their logic, though, I shouldn't have had that decline in my health if I was active, and so it just proves it to be untrue. Maybe it works for some people, but it doesn't work for everybody. Another frustrating one that we all hear is if you would only lose some weight. This is so ridiculous. I'm not going to say that obesity is not a bad thing. That's not my point. My point is Right before I had my surgery for my endometriosis, I was told that perhaps I should consider losing weight. And then when I developed sleep apnea, my doctor told me again that if I lost 10 pounds, maybe I wouldn't have sleep apnea. Well, I lost the 10 pounds and I still have sleep apnea. And I also want to take a pause for everyone out there to look at my body shape and tell me that I need to lose some weight. I know that I'm clinically overweight, but I in no way am so overweight that my weight would be causing so much stress on my joints that that's why I'm unable to be physically active, or that my weight is causing so much stress on my esophagus that that's why I can't breathe. It's ridiculous. Our pain and illnesses are reduced to get more exercise, get more vitamin D, get more magnesium. Why don't you guys tell the man who can't get it up that if only he got more exercise, or he took some vitamin D, or he took some magnesium, that all of a sudden his erectile dysfunction would be cured? Guess what? Nobody would buy that. And we're not buying what you're selling us either. It's a deeper problem. And you know what? I'm not a scientist, so I don't know what the problem is, but I'm not an idiot either. So stop playing us for stupid. Doctors give us off-label medicines for our different conditions. For instance, I was given 2 very high doses of antidepressants for my fibromyalgia because opioid has become a very bad word. And we have criminalized people who need pain medicine in order to be able to function in everyday life. And that is also ridiculous. We want you to know we are not junkies. We are not faking our illness to get medication that we don't need. We'd prefer, frankly, not to have medication. Medication has so many side effects, and we are very aware of that. But the problem is, we need these medicines in order to be able to function. I, personally, prefer nutrition instead of medicine to any approach that I can possibly give that. However, even after eating healthy for years and taking supplements, I'm still left dizzy and in pain. And if you can make me not dizzy with cabbage, I want that cabbage. Unfortunately, not even the medicines that the doctor was giving me have been able to cure my dizziness or my pain. So frankly, I really need for everyone to stop politicizing pain and just concentrate on making the people better. Yes, there are people out there who do fake being ill so that they can live off the government, or who do fake being ill so that they can get medicines that they don't need to get high. But it is very ridiculous to throw everybody into the same category and accuse people of being a faker so that they can somehow benefit off society. We all need to stop the stigma because it's crazy, it's rude, and it's inhumane. When you treat someone harshly and you assume that they're a criminal or you assume that they're a faker, you're traumatizing that person. When you abuse them by saying hateful things or treating them in a suspicious manner. I can tell you about my day-to-day and my personal pain story. So yesterday, I decided to do a little bit more than I normally would around the house because I'm still alive, right? I was in such intense pain today that I took Tylenol. I took Tylenol 3. It had absolutely no effect whatsoever on my pain. Sometimes pain medicine will only take the edge off for us, and that's all we can ask for so that we're able to do something during the day. After the Tylenol 3 didn't work, then I took a prescribed opioid to try and get rid of my pain. You know what? My body laughed at me and was like, dude, thank you for the baby aspirin. And I rolled around in my bed in tears until I could fall asleep and take a nap so that I could get up and get something done today. I want you to take just a moment to think about this. I am a mother. I am a wife. I used to be a teacher. My inability to properly function affects everybody in my life. It affects my ability to have a happy marriage with my spouse. It affects my ability to spend quality time with my children. It affects my ability to make dinner for my family. And it affects my ability to clean my house. When I was working, running around from doctor to doctor who was unable to help me affected my ability to do my job properly. Being in excruciating pain affected my ability to work effectively. Chronic pain leads to high absenteeism at work and lack of productivity when a person is at work. The inability to get proper health care affects our everyday lives in so many different ways you have no idea. As a teacher, I felt like I was being attacked on two fronts. We have so many negative attitudes towards teachers right now in the United States, and we have all this legislation coming down. I have parents blaming me for things that their child refuses to do. I have parents demanding that kids get grades that they have not earned. Teachers are being blamed for lack of parenting and raising your children. And then I have to war with my chronic pain. I have parents and legislators passing the buck about what's going on in the education system. And I have doctors passing the buck from specializer to specializer and even back on me, telling me what I could do differently to somehow miraculously cure myself. Don't get me wrong, I loved teaching, and my students knew that I loved them and enjoyed spending that time with them. But at the same time, it was very hard and very stressful to deal with all of the other intricacies that went on in everyday life, and then also have to come home and be a wife and a mother, and then also have to deal with my doctor's inability to give me proper answers. Doctors tell me every day at every appointment that I go to that stress exacerbates my condition. So I had no other choice to eliminate any stresses that I could eliminate in my life, which meant no longer working. Now I have more energy than I've had in years to be a better mother to my children and a better wife to my husband, but it's at the expense of me being able to go out and have more human interaction. Most jobs that are out there are not conducive to someone who has chronic pain being able to work and then also being able to balance a home life. People with chronic pain cannot have it all. I want to thank anyone who was able to make it through this extra long rant of a broadcast today. Anyone who's taken the time to really listen to what I have to say about what not only I feel, but other chronic pain sufferers feel. And I hope that you take something away from this, that you're a little bit more educated about chronic illness, and that you'll treat people with more compassion and kindness. If you would like to contact me, the best way to do so is to email me on my Gmail account. You can also follow me on Twitter. I have a lot of not only funny, but also informative tweets that I send out. You can also like my page on Facebook, and I ask a lot of questions that you can answer whether you are spoony or not. And also, please feel free to view my other broadcasts if you have not seen any of my other webisodes. Thank you.